Tony, welcome back to the podcast. It's been a very long time, but I'm very excited to have you back on. How are you? How's Clown Planet treating you?
Thanks for having me back on. Yeah, Clown Planet is abusing me daily, and I won't lie. Going out dealing with the general public, and you know, people. The new thing is people just put taking portable speakers everywhere. Even
Oh
people
my
like
God.
people walking along the streets at 7 o'clock in the morning here in Mexico with booming out reggaeton.
Seriously? Seven
Yeah, yeah.
o'clock in the
Well,
morning?
you know
Wow.
better than anyone, like Latin culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it, but it's loud.
Well, we,
Even
we we start partying.
even this morning, right? I got some new neighbours, and they're a little bit older, and I'm thinking, sweet, they're going to be nice and peaceful. I'm not going to have any bother. I get up this morning, I go to get a coffee, and I walk out in the corridor, and there's just this music just banging out from from their room, and it's just
You're like you can only hope that, that they won't
yeah,
do
yeah.
that, but
But yeah, I mean, obviously, it's crazy out there right now. The last 4 years, it's just been what a roller coaster, right? We got people wearing masks in swimming pools, and all kinds of all kinds of stuff went down. And I still think that the whole world is suffering from like PTSD, and
yeah, yeah,
I mean, things were never normal before, but
right.
now they're even crazier. And now, of course, all the things sadly that we were warning about with the
Hmm.
pokes in the arms are all coming
Oh
to light,
yeah,
and
yeah.
they're all, they're coming out admitting that these things are causing problems. And I think we're at the start of that, so it's going to be a rough ride. I've certainly got people in my life that are coming down with
Hmm.
cancers like that, and
Yeah,
yeah, so we're in for a rocky ride, but
right,
I just try and poke fun at it, and
right.
this place is a lunatic asylum, and
It is. It
that's the
is.
way I look at it, and
It is.
I try not to get drawn into feeling depressed or down or anything like that. I just my thing is to learn how to get out of here and help others how to get out of here
Hmm.
and enjoy the craziness while I'm here. And then that's my lot. I think that's the way I look at things right now. And I think it's important that everyone, despite how difficult things are, takes time to find the fun in the madness, and
Yeah.
engage with hobbies, get creative, and not get drawn down into like the gunk of it all, because they want us down and depressed. And certainly when you get to the levels of like entity attachments, they love it when you're down, you're depressed, you're sad,
Oh
that's
yeah.
you're fearful. Like, so there's a meme that
That's
goes
food for
around.
them. That's food.
Yeah, exactly. It's food. So there's a meme that goes around that that I love, and it's that every time you smile, a reptilian gets hungry. And
That's funny. I like that. I like
yeah,
that. I've
yeah,
seen it.
yeah.
I think you posted it. I've seen it.
Oh, I posted it a lot. That's my favorite meme of all of them. Um, so yeah, so there's a lot of serious stuff going on, and I feel like this matrix is really throwing the kitchen sink at us right now. Now we've had all this the solar flares debacles, all the new ages telling you that
Oh boy.
Earth's ascending to the fifth dimension, and we're going into the new Earth, and that's the reason that we're seeing all these flares, which is basically
Lights.
weather manipulation, right? And it's just like, oh, I'm feeling really tired,
Right.
and
No,
essential.
they're ascension symptoms. Stop that.
No, no, that's friggin' HARP, you fool. It's like, so,
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, it's actually it's crazy because yeah, there's so many even I like last week I had that cold. I'm definitely feeling better, right? But
uh,
it's the stuff that they spray on us constantly. You know what I mean? It's not even a cold. I'm not even sick, like it's weird. It's really
yeah,
weird. There's so many people that are sneezing and coughing and they're like, I'm tired. I don't have energy, this and that. It's like, yeah, because we literally like they spray all these heavy metals.
yeah,
These
yeah, yeah.
chemicals.
They're doing, I mean, half the technology that they've got, we don't even know about,
No.
the stuff that we know about. I mean, they've probably got things way more forward than HARP and things like
Yeah.
that. So, I don't want to be like a Debbie Downer, but I'm very much against all this spiritual bypassing and pretending things are something that different than what they are, because that's really why we're in this mess. Because
Hmm.
we, particularly within the new age, they want to package this place up into something that it's really not. And what does that do? It leads to more manipulation, more deception. You know, you think you're here learning frigging lessons. Well, you know, they wipe your memory. So you're not here learning lessons,
Yeah.
or resolving some kind of karma when there's no evidence of karma playing out here. You know, we have paedophiles that are running the world, that have all the money, all the resources, they have the big cars, the big mansions, they have
Right.
all the freedom. They probably don't use passports. They probably don't even have debit or credit cards like we do.
Yeah.
So we have those people with all the, you know, having all the fun, and then you have, you know, children getting obliterated and
Mhm.
limbs blown off in places like Gaza and all that. And the New Agers will tell you that they chose to suffer. They chose, or they want, God wanted to experience being a child and being
Getting blown
decapitated
up.
by an F-16, right? It's like, just fuck off with that shit. It's just
Imagine
so
going up
angry.
to someone and saying that to them. You know, imagine going up to someone in Gaza and saying that to them. That's so disrespectful. That's just straight up disrespectful.
I had a comment on my. I mean, I have to get really graphic with this because they don't get it. These people, they want to pretend this place is
Love and life.
something that something it's not. And this guy was like, oh, but there is duality, and a child would have chose that at some level. And I'm like, so you're telling me that like a little boy or little girl would have chose to be like anally like raped or something like that by a
Right.
big fat paedophile. You're telling, sorry to get so graphic, but you have to with these people.
Yeah, I think I
So
saw that. I think I saw
so
that
it
comment.
sinks in their head, right? Because they don't get it. If you're like, well, no, they wouldn't have chose this because it's horrific and it's bad. That they don't get it. So you have to even go into the really gory details for them to like really get it. That of course you would not choose that for yourself.
Mhm.
Uh,
Right. Right.
and I'm just so sick of all this, yeah, just pretending that this place is something that it's not. And
Right. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
there's a
so
lot of bypassing. It's crazy. There's so much bypassing, and people are not like, they just don't want to see the truth. I don't know what it is. They just don't want to see it.
well, I get it to a degree because it's a form of, I don't know, coping. Because if you
Mm.
really, I mean, I get it with people like that come across my work, like Tony. When I found out about this stuff, I went through a grieving process,
Yeah.
and I get it, because like all the new age stuff, this quote unquote spiritual stuff, which is anti-spiritual,
Yes.
it just makes you feel good inside, makes you feel warm and fuzzy, and you feel like your guides are there, got your back, even though you're on a prison planet, right, for the thousandth time, right? Not very good guides, are they, right? This is your 998th incarnation on this hell realm.
Welcome back.
And
Welcome
yeah, and your
home.
guides, your guides have been helping you all this time. Well, I'm gonna get some new frigging guides. Do you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck am I
You
doing
gotta
here again?
pay new guides here, like they're
Yeah,
not doing their job.
like just what the hell are these guys doing? But they want to believe in all that. They want to believe that their angels there, the angel Archangel Michael's got their back, even though like they're draining the fuck out of their energy. Like it's just. But I get it. People want to feel good. It's hard here. It's tough. A lot of people have had a lot of trauma, so they gravitate to things like that. And I completely get it. Even for me, so, like sometimes I'm like, you know what, I could do with a guide. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes I could, like, if they were true, I'd love to have a spirit
That's
animal, a spirit guide. Hey Tony, today we're gonna do this, and like you need to go here today because you're gonna have this great experience, and yada yada yada. And it's like it would be great if that's true, because then you don't. And this is the other problem. Then you don't have to think for yourself, right?
uh-huh. Yep. I was just thinking that. Yep. I was just gonna say that. Yeah,
Yeah, people
exactly.
don't want to think for themselves and make their own decisions and take responsibility for their own actions. It's much easier to, blame someone else or blame your guides or whatever.
Right. Right. Or blame your
So,
spirit. Exactly.
so
Yeah.
yeah, this place is it's a tough place, and I do some regression work. Me and you have done some stuff where
Mhm. Yeah.
quite often the baby in the womb, they don't want to be here, and the child has trauma over just being here. Um, as dark as that sounds, as morbid as it sounds, that's the reality. And
Hmm.
like we were talking about my latest upload on my YouTube channel about God, how this lady was saying, you know, God loves us, and she met God in
Right.
her near death experience, and God was saying, you know, you have free will. It's all about love. I love you, and there's no judgment. Yada yada yada. All this nonsense. And then God was like, well, you know, it's not your time yet. You got to come back. You got to go back down to earth. You have a quote unquote mission. And she was
That's how they get
like,
you. The mission.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
They get you.
No, no, I don't want to go back there. It's too dark. It's too, and even though she was saying no, she was, and then in the next sentence, she's like, and then God stuffed me down back into my body, right? So He loves you, right? He loves you.
He
You
said, "Get back in there."
get back in that body. I love you. Go on, get in there. You know, go and suffer all that trauma again. You know, but I love you, and oh yeah, that was the other thing. She was saying
Tough
that
love.
they were, yeah, really tough love, right? So she at one point they were observing the Earth, right, and she described seeing the Earth on flames, in flames, and she
Mm.
said God was sad, and I asked God, why are you sad, God? He was like, because those people, they didn't believe, and I'm like, and then in the next sentence he's like, you know, they didn't believe in God's love, but they're on fire on a planet that's on fire, right? So like, there's the kicker. Yeah, you know, you if you don't believe in him, he's going to set you on fire, right? So
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
I
You,
mean,
you're gonna pay consequences. That's
yeah,
yeah. It's crazy. It really. It like. It just doesn't make sense. I think that's what it is for me. It's just not logical. It doesn't make
no,
sense. It just
no. Well,
doesn't make.
I was saying, like, imagine like your mum saying to you, like, Yasmin, I need you to go to a place of worship and worship me, right? Because like your mum was a big part of your creative process, right? How you
Right.
got here.
Yeah.
Uh, like
Exactly.
you just be like, no, what are you talking about? Have you just like turned into a narcissist? And then she says, well, if you don't, I'm going to wrap a baseball bat around your head. Like it's like this is the kind of like this is kind of the same thing. You know what I mean? It's just
When you
crazy.
put it like that, Tony, it just like it makes sense, you know? It just makes sense.
Yeah, you'd be like, well, what? Who the hell are you? Like, no, like don't ever talk to me again. You absolute freak, right? But no, we want to make excuses for God because it's the big G, all right?
The big T,
And
yes.
we don't, you know, it's not even a case of like religious people. It's normal
Yeah.
people. You know, they want to believe in something.
The saving. It's saving.
Yeah, a
Mm-hmm.
savior program. And the other problem that I have with it, and this is something I wanted to make an actual video about, is that the pedalization of these entities, and not just these entities. We see it play out here in the 3D with celebrity culture. You know,
Oh yeah,
the
yeah.
celebrity culture, which is thankfully dying a
That's
little bit.
dying. Yeah, that's dying
Yeah,
out. Hopefully.
it's still there. Where, you know, someone who has been on telly or whatever, um, they've got a. I mean, you use the word influencer. Everyone's a frigging
Oh
influencer.
God, I can't. Yeah.
Even like OnlyFans women, like they call themselves influencers, right? Um, so 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 you have these like influencers. Like if you have a blue tick on Twitter, like you're
You're an
like people
influencer.
are like hang off every word that you say,
Right.
and so we have this real like distorted view on that other people or other entities know something better than we do, or
Right.
we should follow,
Right.
um, and like best cases like politicians, and now we're seeing, you know, with the
It's
new
like a
puppet.
cult. It really is like a cult, you know?
Yeah, but it's what it is a mental schism where the person hasn't gone deep enough within their own psyche, with their own, they haven't explored their own consciousness, they haven't gone deep enough to realize who and what they are,
Right.
um, and realize that actually they're a sovereign being, and very powerful being. And that actually, if they would just tune into their inner dialogue, and I say inner dialogue because people get themselves in wrapped around in knots when they try and connect with, guides, God,
Mhm.
because these are just entities that are masquerading, but they
Right.
haven't done the like the inner pondering and figured out who they are on a deep level. So they will gravitate towards, well, most of the time because they can't be asked, and they rather put on the TV or whatever
Right.
and listen to what someone else has to say. And then that pedalization process happens. And
Hmm.
more often than not, these people that are, that have all these followers, they're misinformation agents or they're shields or
Yeah.
they're going to lead them over you have the Russell Brand who
I
actually
was
wrote,
just gonna say, like, Russell
oh my
Brand.
God, don't even start on. He actually wrote a book called The Pied Piper, right? They have to tell you what they're doing, right?
Of course,
You can
yeah.
look it up. If you go to Google Russell Brand, Pied Piper, you'll see his book there. And there's a picture of him on the front cover with the flute, like
Yeah.
leading.
I've seen it. Hmm.
I mean, for God's sake, like he is playing the Jesus archetype, right? There is
He got
no
baptized, no?
there is no coincidence that that guy looks like Jesus. He's got the beard, the long hair. Perhaps I'm a little bit jealous of his hair, right? But he's, but
Tony.
exactly right. So he played the child snatcher at the 2012 London Olympic Games. I mean, for God's sake. And you know who really pedestalized him? Women, right? I'm just going to come out and say it, right? It's going to trigger a lot of people, but I don't care. Women, probably partly because he's good looking.
I don't
They
think
will.
he's good
Uh,
looking. Whatever.
well,
Other women do.
yeah.
Yeah, a lot of women do.
And because he's like spiritual, right, and he does yoga, right, and he does fucking ecstatic dances, like and all that new age nonsense crap that you know, let's face it, a lot of women love that, right? A lot of men love it as well, demasculated men, but
Yeah.
that's another topic. Um,
That's the next episode.
Yeah, yeah. So they absolutely hang off every word he says. And
Hmm.
where's he taking it? He's going to lead you over to. He told you he's going to take you over the cliff.
Right.
And interestingly, I on my TikTok I made a video about him and it was banned instantly, and I
No
got struck.
way.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
that
So
doesn't that say a lot, Like, of course they're gonna ban it.
yeah, but he's mark my words. He over the next few years is going to play a very pivotal role in the what I call the false awakening.
Yeah.
Him, Robert Kennedy
Oh
Jr.
yeah, yeah.
Those two, along with Trump, probably coming back. Um,
Yeah, there's gonna be a show with all of them for
yeah,
sure.
they just watch them closely. That they are like the figureheads of the fake awakening.
Hmm.
So.
Hmm.
Um, Anyway, I digress. I don't know how we got onto Russell Brand, but yeah, I was talking about the pedalization of people, but this extends into the astral, and we see this when you study NDEs, and I spent hours listening to them.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I
they're
love when you
very
talk about this. It's interesting to me. So yeah, continue, Tony.
yeah, they're very frustrating because quite often, if the person had just done a little bit of research when they were living, they wouldn't find themselves back down here again. But what happens is these people, when they die, they automatically pedestalize these entities. Now, whether it be Jesus, God, an angel, some kind of like spirit, quote unquote, spiritual master, hooded being, a lot of them turn up in their robes. They really put on a show because
Mhm.
we have this connection with someone that wears a robe and knowledge, right? So they turn up
Yeah,
in all their robes, right,
yeah.
with their books under their arms, and they're like, "Hey, Yasmin, you were a good person, but remember when you hurt this person in 2012?" And you're like, "Oh yeah," and they're like, "Well, you got to come back and resolve
Fixed
your
it.
karma. know, you, you've got to have a life as a Vietnamese rice farmer, starving every day, to learn your lessons, or you've got to come back as a 14-year-old boy and get brain cancer to learn your lessons. And again, like I'm being extreme, but I need to be extreme to get the point across, right?
I know.
Actually, it's not even extreme. This stuff happens every day. I walk down the streets here in Mexico. There's people rummaging through bins,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Don't sit there and tell me that they chose to be starving, right? They, with
Right.
their little kids in tow, they chose that life, right? They,
The system's messed up.
they're,
That's what it is.
yeah,
You
they're a
know?
victim of being born into a place where their government wants people poor, takes everything for themselves and leaves nothing for everyone else, right? That is not a lesson, that is not a school. And often these people, when they have these NDEs, they're like, oh, I suddenly I knew everything. And I'm like, okay, well, clearly you didn't. Clearly they weren't giving you all the information because you haven't come back down here with the truth, right? You're coming back down as an agent of the matrix. And now what's happening, which is really interesting, is because more and more people are dying from the jab and the cancers and the heart issues and all the strokes and everything, I'm seeing more and more NDE channels, more and more, yeah. So it's almost
Hmm.
like they know that more
Interesting.
people are going to pass. So the propaganda machine,
Right.
these NDEs, and of course, people when they get cancer and stuff, they're going to gravitate to things that they're going to start looking at what happens when you die. I mean, again, it's morbid, it's sad, but it is what it is. And
Right.
they're going to stumble across these agents of the matrix,
Right.
and you're like, oh well, even though I might die, it's all right, it's all right because I'll be met with Jesus or God or my
Uh-huh.
angels, family members,
Oh
or
yeah. Yeah.
and then yeah, I'll have my life review, and then everything's going to be okay. Well, everything is not going to be okay unless you do the work and
Mhm.
research what the frigging hell is going on when we leave this planet. Everyone is talking about we need to work out what's going on while we're here. I would say it's even more important to work out what happens when we pass over. And people, a lot of people, they just don't want to go there because it doesn't feel good. They want to know, they want to believe that when they die, their mum, their grand, their dog, their angel, there is going to be there, open arms, waiting for them. And I'm telling you, these are entities. They are shape-shifting entities. They are masquerading. They are not who you think they are, and they will trick you.
Trick
This is
you.
what
Yeah.
matrix, right? And guilt trip you into coming back down. So we might as well get into that part of it. Is there anything you want to ask me? Because I'm just rambling on.
No,
This is
I love that. You see me, right? I'm just loving this, Tony. I love it. I'm just like, yes, Tony, speak the truth. I love
it's
it.
really weird, like as a person in my personal life, I'm very like I don't talk a lot. I'm very quiet.
Yeah.
Um, I really only talk when it's necessary, to be honest with
Yeah,
you.
I love that. Yeah.
Like I go around, and when I go into social events, like people just they got verbal diarrhea. Like a lot of what they're talking about is there's no point to it. It's not interesting. Like, oh, what do you do for work? We spoke about this, didn't we? Like, there's a lot of Americans here, right? I don't know what it is, but that's the
What do
first
you do for
question.
a living?
What do you do for a living? Oh my God, isn't that the most
You should
boring
respond
question?
with, I'm trying to get out of this matrix. That's what I do.
Yeah, I'm like trying to get the hell out of here, mate. What about you? Yeah. What's it like in Australia? Well, I'm not Australian. I'm actually from the UK, mate. um, yeah,
Oh, that's amazing. That's hilarious. Yeah, no, I love it. I
yeah,
love I love the rant. I love the rant because I mean it's real stuff. It's real stuff that people don't want to talk about.
yeah. And I'm very passionate about it because,
I
well,
see
A,
it.
I want to get the hell out of here, and B, I want
Same.
others to get out. Yeah, I don't want people to be deceived into coming back round here again to suffer and trauma and all the wars, famines. Like even now, like we were talking the other day, like I was thinking, like, what? Imagine the amount of events that we have lived through. Just, I mean, you're younger than me, but I'm thinking like night. I mean, you're in New York, like you witnessed 9/11. Like what
Yeah.
trauma
Yeah.
impacted? that
literally
leave on.
30 minutes away from, you know, that from
Yeah,
that place, the world.
imagine witnessing that in live, like the trauma of that. Then we've lived in banking crashes. We've had diseases, like quite fake diseases, all this.
I know, yes.
Like just the amount of stuff that we have lived through just in
I
our
don't know
life.
how humans do it. I don't know how we're so like crazy resilient because I don't know how we're still alive.
Yeah, but we shouldn't be. We shouldn't
Right.
like. So the New Ages will tell you that this is duality. Like this is part of. I mean, at the worst cases of New Ages will tell you that God needs to experience rape and murder and getting heads
Disease and all
blown
that.
off
Yeah.
and like to know what love is. Like it's just fucking crazy, and it makes me so angry, right?
Yeah.
Because there's so much suffering here, and the New Age will try and explain it all away. It's your fault. It's your karma. It's God experience it. Like it's all outside. No,
Oh,
this
yeah.
is a prison planet. We are cows on a farm. Our energy is being farmed
Right.
by these entities, and we are the batteries that power the matrix.
Yeah.
Just like the fucking film. Sorry to swear, but
No, I love it. Please.
do they censor things in Spotify? You might need to edit some of this
No,
out. Right?
no, this is completely raw, unedited, real, authentic. Like
Yeah, yeah, it certainly is.
that's how I work. This is authenticity only.
Yeah. So, and I'm tired of that. I'm tired
Yeah.
of being told it's our fault. Even in like the self-improvement movement,
Yeah. Yeah.
don't get me wrong. I'm all down for that. I do a lot of work on myself. But why the fuck do we need to self-improve all the time? Like we're born here, we're damaged, we're traumatized. Like
Right. Why do we need to do exactly? Yeah.
why does it have to be like that? And you know,
We
it's
wouldn't
just
have to like work on ourselves like that if we didn't live on such a fucked up planet. Just saying. You know,
yeah,
we didn't have to. That's just
yeah,
the reality. It all comes down to just the way this plane is set up.
yeah, exactly,
That's what
exactly.
it comes down to, you
It's
know?
not a school. You're not learning lessons.
Right.
You're here because it's a farm, right? Let's just get that clear over and
Yes.
over again, right?
Yes.
If it was a school, you wouldn't have your memory wiped. And
Right.
I watched a really interesting NDE the other day. This guy was he remembers getting his memory wiped, and the memory wiping process it was he said it was like a building like in the astral realm. It's like a building that you go into. He said but he had to train
Mm.
to go through the memory wiping process because it's so traumatizing to come back down into a human body. So he said that he went to like a school in the astral, right? Really interesting.
Whoa. You
So
have
he
to send
went
me that. I want to see
yeah,
it.
yeah, I can't remember what it was, but he went to this like preparation center or something that he called it, where they prep people who were going to come back down again to go through like a simulated memory wipe process, right?
Mhm.
Because and this is why a lot of babies abort, right? A lot of babies abort because they get to a point where like, oh my God, I'm back here again. No, I can't do it, right?
Right.
So that's a lot of the, and they talk about this in NDEs. A lot of the babies that are born, they said that abortion is because is a tough school, right? And some people can't make it, right?
Right.
So I forgot what my train of thought was. Oh yeah, so it cannot be if it was a school, we would have our lifetime, we
Yeah.
would take those lessons,
Uh-huh.
and we would take them on to the next lifetime. But that doesn't happen because we have our lifetime, then they wipe our memory. So every lesson that you learned in the last 999,000 lifetimes that you've had, you've forgotten. That's why they call it research,
Yeah.
retire, you know,
Yeah. Hmm.
right? So,
Right. That's what I've always questioned, Tony. Like, why do they wipe our memory?
mm,
Like,
they
why, you know?
they wipe our memory because if they didn't, we would realize, look, you keep telling me it's a school,
Yeah.
but I'm coming round and round again. Last lifetime I suffered war. This time I suffered, and they'll say, well, yeah, but you needed to learn how to be generous. So when you've got nothing and you get something, you give it to someone, right? It's just fucked up, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Um,
manipulative, very manipulative.
yeah.
Very
So
manipulative.
why am I here? I was a soldier in World War One, and now I'm a soldier in Iraq. Like, what you know, what lessons did I learn? We would join the dots up. We'd be like, hang on a minute, you know, this is the 500th life of trauma and suffering, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's all I'm learning is that it's a hard place to be. So they wipe the memory, so then they can convince you when you come back again that actually, you know, there were lessons that you needed to learn. And hey, Yasmin, you know, you almost got it. You almost got it, but you hurt that person in 2012. And we're not judging you, but
We're not judging,
we'll
but we'll
make
make you
sure that
judge yourself.
we'll make sure that you damn well judge yourself by making you feel what that person felt, right? This is what they do in the NDEs.
Yeah.
So we might as well we'll just take it from the start of the process. So
Yeah.
what happens? People are dying, and because they're fucking ignorant, right? They've gobbled up all the NDE stuff in their lifetime with the false light and the light tunnel and all that stuff.
Right. Right. Mm.
It makes them feel good. That the light tunnel comes, which I believe is the moon.
Yeah.
The moon
Yeah.
is being used in that recycling process.
For sure. Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I'm dead. Oh, okay, that's all right. There's the white light there. So they go to the white light. At that point, they are love bombed. They're very, I call it false white light frequency.
Yeah.
And for those listeners that may have taken ecstasy before, I don't know. I don't think you would have.
No.
No, I have.
You're like, no,
Yeah,
I
I don't recommend it now, but you know, back in the day, you know, when I was an ignorant sheep, you know, I took it, right, and it is like it makes you feel incredible, not
yeah.
forever, but
Right.
it's like you love everyone and everyone
I've
loves
heard,
you.
yeah, it opens you up and it's like
Oh my God, like
everything, your senses are just everything feels. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like
I've heard.
you know, like that tree over there, you just got unconditional love for it, and that tree has got unconditional love for you, right? It's just like
You're like,
it's
that tree is my twin flame.
oh my God, you just want to go and like literally hug it, right? Yeah. So that's kind of what it's like. Um,
Right.
but for those people that have taken ecstasy, they will know that there is a massive crash after that.
Sure.
Massive.
Yeah.
And you know, you can feel very depressed for weeks, even
Oh.
suicidal,
Oh.
and so that is what I call like a false high. And a lot of the new ages are working that frequency. Reiki is one of those. That kind of false high frequency where it's temporary and then you feel like shit a week later. Um, and so there's like a false white frequency that they use, which love bombs you at death. So you get hit with the false light, then you get hit with the love. Like they really put on a show, right? There's no whole bars. Help. So then this
Strategy here. There's a very smart strategy.
very strategic. And so then what they'll do, and I'm using you as an example.
Yeah.
So the algorithm, because I believe it's an AI god behind all of this that's powering this matrix, will put up all the things that you loved in your physical life. It'll be like, okay, so Yasmin, she wasn't religious, but she really loved Archangel Michael. So we're going to use the best way that we're going to hook Yasmin back around is use Archangel Michael. Or, and I use this as well because it happens frequently, Yasmin was very close to her grandmother. So if Archangel Michael doesn't work, then we'll use the grandmother. So then what happens is all of a sudden there is Archangel Michael, all in with his wings, and you know he's
all cute and pretty.
cute, and like, hey Yasmin, it's me, you know, like, and you're like, oh, Archangel Michael, whoa, great, and then in tow your grandmother's there, hey Yasmin, and you're like, oh, Granny, hi, oh, thank you. You're here. Oh my God. I love it. I feel good. I'm so
Yeah. I feel
like,
safe. I feel happy.
Yeah. And then they're like, we're glad to be here, Yasmin, but first of all, we must do a life review.
Oh
And you're
boy.
like, okay then. And so a lot of people have described it as being like in an auditorium or seeing like several screens in front of them, like literally, like they have schools and libraries and all that stuff in the astral realm, like
Of course.
and so quite often they will describe like being in an auditorium where these beings, whether it be God, dead granny, Archangel Michael, whatever, will say, look, Yasmin, you know, we're not here to judge you. And they're like, they make it very clear there's no judgment.
No judgment.
What do you hear New Agers say all the time? Don't judge, right?
Don't judge.
Um,
Brother,
so
please don't judge.
yeah. But what they do is they say they're not going to judge you, but they make sure that you feel what the person felt that you hurt. And let's
Right.
face it, none of us here are perfect. We've all upset people in our lifetimes, right? It
Right.
is. We're
And
humans.
we're always going to disappoint
We're
people
always going to,
like
yeah.
unintentionally.
Yeah, exactly. So what happens is that person that you hurt in 2016 when you had an argument with them, you will feel how they felt. And of course, obviously, you're going to feel like shit, right?
Right. Right.
So then what happens then? You get hit with all the guilt and the shame, and you're like, oh my God, oh my God. And then that's when they hit you with the, well, you know, like you did well, you did really well, give you, you know, 8 out of 10 on the scores, but
Mhm.
you're gonna have to go back down. And you're like, no, no, why? Because at that level, they know what this place is. You know, it's heavy, it's dense, it's like
Yeah.
they know they don't want to be like that woman described
Pressing.
it as being on fire. And you're like, no, no, no. Well, you know, you've got karma to resolve. And if you don't, well, you know, there's consequences for that. Or if your thing is heaven and hell and you're religious, they'll be like,
You're
um,
going
no, like there's your other option. See all those demons out there in that burning pit, right? That's where you like, okay.
they
And
threaten you. They literally threaten you.
they threaten you, but they do it in a very passive aggressive way.
Right.
Or or they'll use the whole, if you're a new ager, they'll be like, you know, you learned some lessons there. You did quite well, but there's lessons that you didn't learn quite so well. And to become like us, you know, all knowing like these
Lightened.
fucking
Yeah.
robed beings, you know, because you're just a stupid, dumb human, like that
Right.
has
Right.
no understanding or can't know anything. This is the other thing. You can't know the truth.
Slave, you know, exactly.
I can't bear that when people say, nobody knows the truth. Or truth is just subjective. No, you can know the truth. Truth can be known, and it's not subjective, it's objective. It doesn't change based on how you feel. It doesn't change. Like if you want the sky to be red, it doesn't, like truth doesn't care, right? The
Right.
sky is going to be blue, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't care how you feel about it.
Right.
So anyway, I'm going off on a tangent
No,
now.
I
So
love it.
yeah. So they're like, you know, you got more lessons to learn.
hmm
Or the other one that they use is, look, you you got a mission. You didn't complete your
That
mission.
one. That one. Yeah.
And
hmm
they're like, but I don't want to I don't want a mission back down there. And then
Yeah.
they start showing you like family members, and if you've got children, like how they're gonna feel, like
Yeah.
whatever they
They
can do
guilt you. They really guilt you. Yeah.
yeah, whatever they can do, but they make it very clear that they don't, right?
Yeah.
No judgment. So what they do is they shoehorn you back down, right? Against, you know, they tell you have free will, but really you don't. Like
Yeah.
so,
That's such a
uh,
narcissist tactic too. So
yeah,
interesting. They
absolutely.
really like,
Yeah, they
make
gaslight you.
you feel like it's your choice. You did this. That's what they do.
Yeah, they gaslight you. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, and at that point, there's always great reluctance. They never want to come back down. And in that extreme NDE that we were talking about before, the woman gets described as she says no, but still gets stuffed down regardless. Which she uses the word stuffed down into her body, and that was really concerning for me because like at that point, that becomes almost like physical, like even though it's astral and spirit.
Yeah. Right.
So um, so yeah, so then the cruelest thing, obviously, then is that they wipe the memory. Excuse me, my voice is getting croaky. They wipe the memory, and then you're back down here. And this is why it's so important that people really get this, and this is why I'm so blunt and extreme about some of the examples that I give because I really want I really want it to hit home with people that
Right.
this lifetime we have an opportunity to, I believe, get out of here. And I don't like the word trapped because I don't believe we are trapped. I think we're tricked. There's a
We're
difference
tricked.
between tricked and
Right.
trapped. I
Right.
think they would like us to believe that we're trapped here forever in eternity, but I don't believe that we are.
Mm.
But it's very important that we get this right and we really understand the inner workings of the deepest levels of how they're manipulating us back around here. And we have to leave at the door what we want to be true and what actually is true.
Right.
Because if you get tied up in your emotions and you want to continue to believe that there's a loving guide there or a loving God when you die, or your great granny's going to be there and with open arms, you are going to get tricked back round. So what I say to people is, look, have your attachments here in this physical life, be
Right.
close to granny. I don't recommend being close to entities at all
No.
because they will
Yes.
mislead you in your physical life.
Right.
And I talk all about that on my channel, of course. But you know, just leave the like when it comes to that time, just leave those at the door. Maybe we'll meet up somewhere else in another realm, which isn't so fucking traumatizing. You know,
Seriously, please, please.
yeah, you know, have your close connections, have close. I mean, they even use pets, right? It's so cruel.
Yeah,
I've studied NDEs where they'll use like the person's dog or,
it's
you
so
know,
messed
to
up.
help. That's why they call it a soul lure system. They're luring you back in, right? So
Yes.
have all your connections, but leave them at the door. Leave them at, okay, that was nice. I had a great relationship, had a great marriage with that person. I was very
Right.
close to them. I love you. I'll always love you. Those memories will always exist.
Of course.
Time and space. We will always be able to access those memories. Perhaps we can even relive those times. You know, we're really incredible into what we can do. Um, but but just leave them at the door and any rigid belief system that you have to be very aware of your belief systems.
Hmm.
They will likely be used against you. So if your thing is Buddhism, then Buddha will show up, no doubt. Or so it's really important that we yeah, just leave those things at the door. And of course, the natural question is, well, what do I do? Where do I go? How do I get out? And I always say, look, this is what I'm going to do. You do you, but this is
Right.
what I'm going to do.
Right.
So, so in that dimension, the astral realm, everything is instant there. You think about something, you're there.
Hmm.
Um, and so what's happening is because people are confused, they're like, oh, I'm dead. Where do I go now? Because they don't figure things out in their physical life. The matrix has the opportunity to come in and lure them, right?
Of
So
course.
you have to be very definite about what your intention is. It's all about intention.
Yeah.
Um, and I feel like that there's some researchers out there that have complicated this. There's some researchers out there that say that you have to, you know, all your bad habits and things that you have in your physical life, you can't leave here until you've resolved them. And I don't believe in that. I don't. No matter how good we want to be, we're always
Yeah.
going to have flaws, right? And
Yeah. We're always going to be imperfect on some way.
also don't encourage bad habits and things like that. It's always good to live a cleaner life and it, but I don't believe that you have to become like a perfect person
No.
before you get out because that then goes into the earth to school kind of thing again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um, I believe it's very simple. What I'm going to do is and I kind of say this to myself every day is I believe it's very simple, and it's I'm leaving. I'm leaving. I'm not going to deal with any entities. If I get to the point where I'm chatting to an entity or a perceived close loved one, I know I've probably gone too far.
Right.
So so my intention is to simply leave, and that's where your consciousness will go. It will leave, and
Yeah.
I believe that we can create. Certainly, we can create realms in the astral.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll create a. I've said before, I love the ocean. Maybe
Realm.
I'll create some like aqua world where just
Uh-huh.
it's just dolphins and sharks, and there's no fucking humans there.
Amazing. Yes.
Go there, or you know, just to chill out until I decide, you know, what I want to do. And probably there's other matrices we can experience. Maybe there's others that are like good and bad, and maybe there's others that are more kind of love and light. Maybe there's more like you know, more avatar kind of realms.
Yeah.
Um, and so this is like a game of many different games that we can play.
Absolutely.
The difference with this game is that we've been tricked into playing it over and over and over again, right?
Yeah. for
So
like thousands and thousands of years.
yeah,
I'm over it.
there's a virus in this game, just like you have viruses on computers, and
Years, yeah.
we've been stuck in this parasitic loosh farm, and so so yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Just adding to that, another NDE that I researched, which I found very interesting. We spoke about this last time I saw you.
Mhm.
I'll tell the story again because I think it's significant.
Yes.
There was a guy who had sleep apnea, and he
Oh,
died in his sleep. And he recalls seeing this giant ball of colors, and he said the colors were so vivid and so incredible. He said they're colors like you don't even find here on Earth. And he said, and he didn't say this, but I perceived that that was like source, if you like.
yeah.
That was the creative essence of everything, right?
Mhm.
And he said that I was staring at this, which for what seemed like lifetimes, he said I couldn't stop staring at it. It was so beautiful. It was so incredible. And he said that's where I wanted to go. And he said, as I was, oh no, just before that, which I'll tell this because it's interesting. When he tuned into like this earth, he saw a tunnel of souls going one way and going the other way. And I would assume that's where people are dying and they're being born, right?
Right.
And he
Yeah.
said at one point I went back in the tunnel, and he said I didn't want to be in the tunnel, so I come back out of the tunnel. And he said he saw this ball because he wanted to leave because he knew where that tunnel was going. And he said he saw this ball, and he said it was incredible. And he said he was gravitating towards this ball, but just before he got there, he said this energy came in and stopped him,
Right.
and it said, "Are you sure you want to go back there?" He said, "It said if you go back there, you can't come back here." And he
Right.
said, "Well, I don't think I want to come back here." And he's like, "But you have a mission, right? You have a mission." And so he was,
Triggers me.
yeah,
At
yeah,
this
I know. He was like arguing with this energy, this other ball of energy. He's like, yeah, but I don't. And he's like, but what about your family, your child, your yada 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 yada? And he was
point.
like, no, 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 I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. Eventually, this ball of energy convinced him to come back, right?
Right.
And this guy, I think I told you, he seemed like, he said, when I come back, he said, I felt resentful. I felt angry
Some of
that
them.
I had been convinced to come
Like,
back. But he hadn't grasped the fact that he'd been tricked back down.
right. Right.
He still thinks, and I actually emailed him and reached out because I could tell he was still searching for answers over what happened. And I said,
Right.
look, this is a soul trap. You've been tricked back. I was like, let's discuss it. He hasn't emailed me back.
No,
Funnily.
he's got to sit with it for a little
Yeah,
bit.
right. Yeah. So, so, but that ball of creation to me, that seemed like, you know, what I would really imagine, what true source, what true creation could be, right?
Mhm.
Um, and he said he's been searching for answers, and he said for months, like he was like going through this grieving process of
I'm
being back.
sure.
And they often still don't quite know what their mission is, because a lot of them are they've had that experience where it does seem lighter and brighter and everything, and they're back down here and they're like, okay, so I must be here to tell people that it's all right, you know,
Right.
and all that stuff. So I thought that was very interesting, and I imagine that, you know, we would have, when you decide to leave, I imagine that we, and I've had like breakthroughs of, again, this is when I took acid back in the day. So I don't recommend it now, but there, you
Right.
can have like breakthroughs when you do things like that. I mean, like I say, definitely don't recommend it now because you can open
Of
yourself
course.
up to things. And that was a long time ago. But I did, in one, at one time, I was on a beach with one of my best friends. It was still incredible now, even when I think about it. I mean, I'm not going to
Funny.
lie. But it was almost like I merged into everything. I was everything, right?
Yeah.
And I remember my ego was pissed off, right? Because everything that I thought was Tony, right?
Right.
All my problems, everything that I'd worked on myself to be, all my self improvement, all that, it kind of just paled into everything.
Yeah.
So you know, you hear people talk about becoming the drop of the ocean in the wave. I
Mhm.
was the fucking wave, right? It was, but I was pissed off, right?
Right.
Because the ego part of me, the Tony part of me, was like, oh, but I love being Tony. I want to be like I've worked
An
so hard.
individual.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
individual part of me was like, I missed Tony, even though I was part of everything. It took some kind of like getting. It took some getting used to. I believe that I will have that option to still continue to be fragmented if I want to,
Right.
or I can go back to being the whole wave. Right? I believe that I will have that. We all have that um, option because I've
Absolutely.
thought about it. It's like I don't know. I kind of like being me, and I don't know. I feel like I want to carry on like having me experiences somewhere else. So maybe I'll
I love
continue.
that. I love
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
I might continue to be a fragmented part of everything, but I feel like we can have that option to, and doing parts work. We've done some parts work
And that, yeah, it's so
when
good.
we're working with like protectors.
Yeah.
Um, Quite often the protector, we ask them, look, do you want to play another role in the person's life, because sometimes they may be playing like a really controlling part, or
Right.
and then when we resolve that part of the or that holographic imprint that's stuck in time and space, we reparent the child. The protector can change form, so then that controlling part may still be there, but it'll be playing a more relaxed role.
Mhm.
But some of them, they're like, do you know what, I've had enough, I want to fucking go back. Right? And then they just go back, right? They go back
Yes.
to where they came, which I would say is the I don't like the word source. I like the
No,
word
it's too new age now. Like, I don't.
creative, the creative intelligence of
Yeah.
everything, creative essence.
Yeah.
And even when I'm talking about that now, that makes me feel really safe. That makes me feel, I don't know, like genuinely good inside, not this
Yeah.
fake gooey stuff. It
Right.
makes me so so basically that's what I'm going to do. My intention is to leave. Um, I trust that my consciousness will take me there, whether it's like a symbolically like a tearing a hole out of the fabric of the matrix. I had one uh, inner child describe that a dagger, to cut a hole out of the fabric of the matrix,
Right.
um, or whether it's just to go back to that ball of light for a while, chill out, and like, right, okay,
Yes.
I'm ready for more Tony adventures.
I
Uh,
love that.
where
Yes.
are we going to go now? And so I feel like that's what's happening. And
Yeah.
to wrap it all up, like everything I talk about, it's when you first hear it, it's triggering, it's upsetting.
Right.
Especially when you get into
It's a
the
grieving
topic.
process. Yeah.
Yeah, loved ones as well, pets. Like, who doesn't want to believe? Like, my mum and dad, I love them to bits, and the rest of my family. Who
Of
doesn't want to believe that when we pass over, they're not going to be there, right?
course. Of course. Yeah.
That's one of the things that people cling on to, and I get it. Like, I get it. I
I
so get.
understand also. Right. I
I
understand.
understand. I understand why people want to believe in angels and guides and spirit. And like, I
I
really do.
understand why we want a savior. Like I
Yeah,
get, I
I work with so many people that have suffered so many trauma. I've had people break down in front of me. I know
understand.
how difficult and evil this place is, and let's call it what it is. It's evil,
Yeah.
but it's not going to lead you to where you want to go. Like, it's really not. So there is a beautiful nugget of gold in all of this, and I feel like if you can understand what's going on, figure out the tricks of this matrix, and just simply set your intention to leave. And if
Yeah.
any entities or energies come in and they're like, hey, you sure about this? Like, yeah, I'm fucking sure. Now get out the fucking way, right? Just fuck off, right? Just
Yes.
get out my fucking way.
Yes.
In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an etheric baseball bat, right? So when I'm leaving, right, any fucker that comes to me with the Earth to School, you have a mission. I'm like, bang, like, just get out of my way, right? I'm
You
no
have a
luck.
mission.
I'm gonna create an etheric
I'm
baseball
gonna
bat.
come up behind you, and be like, Tony, you have a mission. Just kidding, it's me. Don't
Yeah,
hit.
yeah,
Don't hit
yeah.
me.
Yeah, so I don't
Oh,
know.
funny. Oh my gosh, Tony, that was so amazing. Like all your information. Thank you
It's 10
for
minutes, like
sharing
nearly
that.
5 hours. I've been chatting.
Great. No, I loved it. I loved it. This is exactly what I wanted you to share. So good, obviously, as always. And just very real, you know. I love that you're like, no bullshit. Let's cut to the chase. Let's like get straight to the point. You know that that's how I love to communicate, and that's just how I like to perceive information too. It's like don't sugarcoat it. Just say it, you know? Just it's so much easier in the long run when we
Yeah,
like know what we're getting ourselves into.
yeah,
So I love
absolutely.
that. I love it, Tony. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and your light, brother. We so appreciate you.
No, thanks for having me
Namaste,
on.
brother.
We didn't get a chance to like rip apart the new age today, did we?
We
We'll have
got to
to.
do that next time. We got
Yeah,
another episode coming up. So for my
yeah,
audience, don't
we're
worry.
gonna talk about men's circles. Oh
Yes. That's the next episode. Men's circles and
my God! All right.
the new age men.
Yeah, that's a good
And
one.
like
New age.
actual masculinity, because I don't think we've like really talked about that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's do that.
So let's do that for the next one. But where can people find you, Tony, if they want to work with you and connect with you and all that stuff?
So I have my website transcendingtimes.org. That's got details of my course and everything like that, where I teach people how to clear entities and implants and etheric junk. And we have a community where I do a bi-weekly live Q&A. So it's a community as well as an ongoing training. And of course my sessions, but then also my YouTube channel where I break down all these NDEs and New Age bullshit, which is just my name, Tony Sayers.
Okay, perfect. I'll be writing all that down so people can find you, connect with you, and all that stuff. And stay tuned for the next episode. Because the next one's going to be kind of crazy. So,
All right, thanks, Yasmin.
yes. See you soon, Tony. Thank you.
Bye.